Headshot.
This is where the fun begins.
Nice.
Too many of them. What are we going to do?
Never tell me the odds.
Flawless victory.
Yeah, this is big brain time.
KO. Finish him! Fatality.
What is up guys, so today for this video we are taking a look at Princess Leia, or General Organa herself. Today for this hero guide we're going to be looking at Princess Leia like I mentioned. We're going to be taking a look at her star cards, we're going to be talking about her strengths, her weaknesses. I'm going to be showing off some gameplay in Heroes vs Villains alongside some gameplay in Galactic Assault, just to give you guys an idea of how she can play in those specific game modes, as they're very different, as HPV is 4 players versus 4 and in Galactic Assault it's 20v20. So I'm going to be showcasing like some gameplay like I mentioned. I'm going to be trying to like explain why the star cards that you guys are going to see me using are the ones I go for, as when I play Leia I kind of like make sure that I'm trying to like maximize her potential in regards to using her E11 ability and also her grenades as well, which are so good, and I cannot stress this enough. Leia has gotten such a really good upgrade. Leia is really fun to play and she's like so much better, and she's in a really good spot right now. So I think a lot of new players especially come to the game. She does struggle sadly against like saber wielders, especially if they're from like a distance to the point where they can deflect her shots right at her. But at the same time, if you can manage to like duck and roll under your opponents, you will be able to actually manage to get some really good kills. So without further ado, we're going to jump straight into this Leia guide. So taking a look at Leia's star cards, you guys can see the ones I use out of the ones that she does have. I'm going to explain in another clip why I use these 3 specific star cards to the ones that she has, as when I play Leia like semi-aggressively. Like I try to like make sure that I'm always up in my opponent's face, and I'm always trying to make sure that I'm being as supportive as I can, as Leia kind of does fit that role as a supportive character. So I'm going to try to explain why these star cards are beneficial and the uses of them also as well. So the first star card that I use is called Fearless, and the reason why I use the star card is because it actually amplifies Leia's grenades. So what this does, it actually increases the blast radius by 1 of Leia's thermal detonators, which is really good. Leia is in a really good spot like I mentioned earlier, and her grenades are so much better than what they used to be before she actually got this change. Before, her ability, it was just like a flashbang and it was very pointless. It didn't really do any damage, all it did was like just blur the screen. However, now she's got 3 thermal detonators and they do really good damage. Most times whenever I'm playing as Leia, especially when I'm going up against a saber wielder, what I like to do is keep them within close range of me, and then I throw those grenades down at their feet, and in most scenarios it will actually do damage to them. So by the time I'm actually ready to actually maybe use my E11 ability or just do damage to them with my blaster alone, most of their health is literally already gone, which is like so good as well. So I highly recommend using this for new players as well. Veteran players, obviously I can understand that you may go for a different star card, and that's completely understandable, but like I mentioned, having an increase in her blast radius of her grenades is so good. Let's just say, as an example, playing Galactic Assault as you guys are seeing me do now, let's just say that there's a bunch of enemies all grouped up together. I like to like throw those grenades in, and because I have an increase in my blast radius, most times when enemies are all clustered up together, it really works out for some really good multi kills. So it's really good. So that's just a little tip for you guys. The next star card that I'll use is called Rebel Heart, and the benefits of this star card is it actually allows Leia, when she uses her E11 ability, to get a 25% damage reduction. This star card I think is like a staple star card for Leia, as in this game especially, I find that damage reduction is extremely good for any character in this game. Leia isn't the most tankiest character, as she is a blaster character. Mainly there are saber wielders and they're more like tanky compared to like blaster characters. However, with this star card, whenever I whip out the E11, which is her middle ability, I get a 25% damage reduction, and I can't tell you how much times I've actually been saved, or I've been able to actually kill an opponent or kill multiple opponents back to back to back due to me having this damage reduction. Especially with Leia's E11 blaster, it fires so quickly. Like, it's rapid fire and it does really good damage, especially at close range. Most scenarios, like let's just say you're going up against a saber wielder, I'll just use Darth Maul as an example. If I'm going up against Darth Maul isn't blocking, I can probably take Darth Maul down within just a couple of hits. It's so good, and I cannot stress that enough. Leia and her E11 blaster, they do ridiculous damage, and it's just really good. It's a very good ability, and it's also a very good star card as well, because like I mentioned, Leia, she's not the tankiest character, so if she's receiving damage, like her HP is going to drop really quickly. However, when you have the star card equipped, like I mentioned, it's going to give you a nice 25% damage reduction. So I highly recommend this for any new player that's playing the game, or any Leia main out there, because there are like a few Leia mains out there as well. So mainly this, like I mentioned, these hero guides are for like new players as well. So just to get you guys like on the right foot, I highly recommend this star card as well, because it'll actually keep you alive in more scenarios once you actually have this E11 out, and you also have this star card out as well. And the final star card I use, which is called Stay Together, actually allows Leia, if she is within 15 meters of 2 friendly units, herself alongside her teammates are also going to get a 10% damage reduction. And this is absolutely insane. Like I mentioned before, especially let's just say you're playing Galactic Assault as I'm doing right now, you're always going to be within close radius of your teammates, especially because it's 20v20 as it's a larger game mode. If you're playing Heroes versus Villains, which is 4v4, some scenarios you might be by yourself, but in larger game modes like Supremacy and also Galactic Assault, you're always going to be really close to your teammates, because obviously your teammates, they're going to be able to spawn on you, or if you're pushing for an objective, or if you're trying to defend an objective, then your teammates are going to be with you as well. So all you need for the star card to work is just have 2 friendly units right next to you, and alongside this, yourself and them, they will have a 10% damage reduction. On top of Leia's middle ability as well, we're using her E11 like I talked about earlier with her other star card, then this actually allows Leia to get 35% damage reduction altogether, which is really crazy. Like, I think Leia has the most damage reduction in the game for any character. Leia's damage reduction for the blaster character at least is ridiculously high, and she becomes really tanky with these 2 specific star cards. However, she's not the tankiest, but she can actually hold her own, especially in the last scenarios. Leia, like I mentioned, she's a very fun character to play. She's very supportive, and she does really good damage as well, respectable damage if I must say so. Leia's very fun, and the one thing I really like about Leia as well is like her middle ability, like I mentioned, her E11. Guys, I cannot stress this enough. Do use this ability in most scenarios that you see fit. You'll be able to actually wipe out rooms very quickly, especially with her thermal detonators as well. So that's the benefits of these star cards as well. So just a few tips and tricks for you guys as well with playing Leia, because especially like how newer players are coming to the game, I actually see like a bunch of new players play Leia and they don't specifically do this. And this is really good as an example that you guys should actually be doing this. So Leia, she actually can regenerate her health to full health other than actually getting kills. And the way she does this is by actually deploying her squad shield. Along with her squad shield, not only does it actually regain her health with this ability, it actually allows her teammates as well to actually regenerate their health as well to a maximum, as long as they stand within the shield. So I cannot stress this enough, guys. Like, I see a lot of new players who play Leia and their life is literally on the brink of like dying. It's so low, and they never put down the squad shield. I wouldn't recommend putting down the squad shield in a scenario where you can't actually fire at your opponents. I highly recommend putting down the squad shield to just regain your health, especially if you're really low and you're in a tight spot where you can be safe for a few moments, or maybe you're defending an objective, or maybe you're trying to push an objective, but you just want to hold down a specific area where you're at just to get some health to get back into the fight. I highly recommend, like I mentioned, guys, please do use the squad shield as well, because not only will you be playing a supportive role now and be actually regenerating your low health, but if teammates are low on health as well, they'll actually be able to actually gain to the squad shield, and they'll actually be able to actually regain some health as well. So it's really good, as it actually is like a win-win for yourself and also a win-win for your teammates as well. So that's another tip for you guys. Another tip for you guys as well when playing Leia, because I do see this a lot, especially in heroes versus villains. When you aim with Leia's blaster, you actually don't really zoom with it, if that makes sense. When you zoom in with Leia's blaster, it's going to take you into the animation of doing her secondary fire. What this is that Leia does like a secondary fire with her blaster, and it's actually like locks onto opponents, especially if they're within from a distance as well. So most times you may see some veteran players actually do this. Like as an example, let's just say they're playing on Hoth, which is quite a favorite, or even Crate as well, especially if you can go all the way to the back of the map. You actually can snipe people and get quite a few kills, I'd say, in my opinion. So like I mentioned, when you aim with this blaster, do bear in mind that it is going to take you out of actually the shooting animation, and it is going to go into the animation of doing a secondary fire, because sometimes I see a lot of new players who play with Leia and they'll be shooting normally, and then it's like they go into actually aim, and then he actually takes them out of the shooting animation and he puts them into the animation of doing a secondary fire spam. And in most scenarios, this actually results in them dying, because instead of them actually doing damage to their opponent, they're now stuck in the animation of doing the secondary fire, and this just gives your opponents an opportunity to actually shoot you. So in most scenarios, like I mentioned, create some distance between yourself before actually deciding if you want to use the secondary fire. In most scenarios, if opponent is away from you at a good distance, like I mentioned, then feel free to actually spam it. But if they're within close range of you, in most scenarios, I highly would recommend it as well. It's kind of safer just to keep shooting at them or create some distance away from them and then use a secondary fire to then defeat them. So when playing as Leia, one thing I always try to recommend, especially for newer players as well, is I'd always say try to time your rolls perfectly. Especially like how Leia has these abilities where she actually can get damage reduction, and she also has a thermal detonator grenades. They're actually really good. In most scenarios, when I try to dodge and everything, or roll for blaster characters, I try to roll to the side or maybe roll behind my opponent so that I can create some distance between myself and between them, so that I can actually whether use my E11 ability to finish them off, especially if they're within close range, or what I can do is then possibly throw down my grenades at my feet and also try to make sure that the enemies stay as close to me as possible, so that my grenades actually do as much damage to them as much as possible, therefore resulting in their health reducing so that I can get a really good kill as well. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this Leia hero guide. It's really good to do these hero guides, and Leia is extremely fun, and I had a really good time making this video as well. So hopefully this video does help you guys master Leia. If you guys do enjoy the video, please do leave a like on it, that is much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, do hit that subscribe button as well, and hopefully, like I mentioned, this guide does help you, and I hope to see more of you Leia players on the battlefield, because she is very fun to play, and there's not really much Leia players out there. However, the ones that are out there, they're very good. So thank you for watching, guys. Take care.